Hi, everybody. Welcome to the new normal. I'm your host, Lisa Davis, aka Litecoin Lisa. Today is a great day for Litecoin. Johnny's going to tell you all about it and why he thinks we may be seeing the moon sometime soon. Give us a like, share this video. Be right back right after this. Whoops, I forgot to add myself. Hey, Johnny.
Hey.
I showed up. I made it back in the metaverse. So thanks to everybody waiting for us in the chat. I was chewing on Johnny's ear, asking him what's going on with Litecoin and why this pump that we are seeing. So he did a video. But Johnny, kind of tell us what you think's going
on. Sorry, I just tried to retweet. I did another tweet to try to get some people in here. I said, stop in to hear some live Litecoin news. So
yeah.
I do apologize. The light above me burned out. So next week I'll replace this. So I don't look like I'm sitting here in the witness protection program coming at you guys. No, so what do I think's going on? So first of all,
I had people sending me screenshots of Litecoin charts last night and asking me what's going on. And
I woke up yesterday and I usually check within the first 15, 20 minutes of waking up. I'll check the crypto prices and see what's going on for the day. And all of a sudden, like Bitcoin was nothing else moved. And all of a sudden I looked at Litecoin and I was like, holy crap. Like it was almost at $60 and it had spiked up to like $62, kind of spiked back down. And then someone was at my door. Sorry, hounds were going crazy.
Check on it.
No, I'll get I think they should be good. You know what? If they ring again, I'll go up there. I'll hear Kelly chiming in. What was I going to say? So I'm really most pumped because the price didn't pump back down. A lot of times you'll get a pump, you'll get a big buyer comes in, and then the price will kind of fade back off. The price, obviously it sold off right away after the pump, and then it kept getting bought back up. So the price pump stayed. I think the price was still over $62 before let's check the price right now. Right now we're at $62.32 on CoinMarketCap. So the price pump let's check it on Coinbase. $62.45 on Coinbase. So the price pump stayed. It's all right now. If Bitcoin pumps or goes up and then Litecoin goes up, there's nothing exciting about that. The whole crypto market moved. You expect them both to move together. But if Litecoin moves and Bitcoin and Ethereum don't move, that's super bullish, especially a move like that, a big move of over 10% in a crypto that's liquid like Litecoin. That's a huge move. So
in this volume, right? You taught me to look at the volume down here.
It moved up on heavy volume. Now, if you see on the bottom down there, you can see where the volume spiked up with that big buy. The volume stayed heavy, and you could see it sold off right away after that pump, got bought right back up, sold off again a little bit, then got bought back up again, sold off a little and got bought back up. So it's got bought back up 1, 2, 3 times now. So it's that's really bullish. And then, so bullish that like I think even like Cointelegraph put out, and they never put out good stuff about Litecoin. They put out an article saying, expect like a 200% like move leading into the halving. Here's the thing with this. So I'll get into why I think this move happened yesterday, but there's data to back up going into the halvings of the price moving up. Usually between, like 45, 50 days before the halving is kind of like the peak. Kind of makes sense because you're getting the most reward then, and the reward's going to fall off a little bit. So people are the miners are trying to mine as much as they can. So, I would, history doesn't always repeat, but it rhymes. So there's been 2 halvings already. I would expect similar action leading into this third halving. But aside from that, so we have this MoneyGram news, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the MoneyGram news, now the price didn't move up right away on the MoneyGram news. Now, oftentimes we hear stuff in crypto before most people hear about it because we're on crypto Twitter. We're following like the Litecoin social media handle and all this stuff. Like we're getting it like the minute the news drops, right? A lot of times like the regular world normies don't hear this stuff till like a day or two later. So I think part of it was people waking up to the fact that, wow, MoneyGram said you could only buy and sell 3 cryptos. They seem really like them or not, they seem really involved with what's going on with regulatory wise across the world. Why did they only approve these 3 cryptos? It seems to be 3 cryptos keep getting clearance for stuff. Litecoin's always involved. So I think that had a big factor in it. And I think also too, the whole thing about Dogecoin and Elon Musk and Twitter and all that, I think people realize like, you know what? Dogecoin and Litecoin, they're merged mine together. So what's good for Dogecoin is good for Litecoin. It's good for Litecoin is good for Dogecoin. I even said in my video that I did, you don't think Elon Musk isn't working on better and more efficient ways to mine Dogecoin? Now, obviously, part of the sell is if you're going to buy this mining equipment, if you're going to participate in that, you're getting a reward of 2 coins and not just 1. Obviously, that would be part of the deal. So I think that played into it as well, just knowing that, hey, there's going to be more adoption for Dogecoin. That's good for Litecoin. That's definitely not bad for Litecoin, no matter how you slice or dice it.
So I have a question for you with that merge mining, and I'm not sure how that all works, but I wondered because we saw the pump with all the news with Elon taking over Twitter and people seeing that it was changing. People were being welcomed back on the platform, public's back on there. His IP has been blocked by Twitter for almost 3 years now. He's back. If you guys want to follow at TPA is back. He's back on Twitter. We're seeing other people that were blocked or banned. There are also like some other new tools or things. Like if you go to Elon's actual post where he supposedly fired those guys, then below it, it says, this is a joke. This is a whatever, this didn't really happen. These are actors. And then there's a thing under it that said, was this helpful for you to know that this wasn't real, that this is just Elon posting and these were actors and whatever. Anyway, so they're trying new tools and they're doing polls about what's real and what's not. And anyway, trying to educate people. So I think people are seeing a change in crypto Twitter, which then we saw this big pump in Doge. Also just the purchase of it, all that. But it's a we the people, or it can be a we the people platform if there's truly free speech there. And Dogecoin is kind of, it's a shit coin. It can be printed to infinity, but that'll end up helping support Litecoin. What my question to you is, is that part of the reason, not the main, but part of the reason that Dogecoin would have, or Litecoin would have pumped, people saw Dogecoin pump up and they were like, whew, I better take some profits. Well, I'll put them in Litecoin because that's like the other half. That's the more stable half of, or pairing of Litecoin.
I could see that definitely being a factor as well. Saying, hey, Dogecoin, if you're bullish on Dogecoin,
like stay in this ecosystem.
Right. If you're bullish on Dogecoin, it means you're bullish on that technology, which is that script mining algorithm, proof of work type of crypto that's designed for payments. That's Litecoin as well. Obviously, that's more Litecoin even than Dogecoin. It's used more than Dogecoin. It has more. Litecoin is more real world adoption. Just Dogecoin is a higher market cap. Litecoin is more transactions, more throughput, more everything. It's just price wise, Dogecoin is higher. So it makes sense. It almost be like, I almost look at it like Litecoin was like the main hub. Dogecoin was like a satellite office, and the satellite office had like its own marketing and became super popular, and then became valued more than the main hub. And it's meanwhile, it's like everything's kind of feeding back to the main hub. So it's like, if you really look at it, it's like, well, wouldn't the main hub have a lot of value too?
Right.
Or even more value? So I think that plays a factor. But I think it was a lot of factors playing into it. I think those three factors are big. Or the fact of Dogecoin, we have the pre-halving, and then the whole MoneyGram announcement. There's so many other bullish things. Even the thing about this new wallet coming out, where you could do this cross-chain atomic swap between Litecoin and Bitcoin. That's really bullish. MWeb in general is really bullish. MWeb's really cool because it's a, I don't know if anybody's used it out there. It's like a privacy tunnel. So think of any tunnel. If you have a helicopter over you, it can see you go in the tunnel. And then you go in the tunnel, and it's like you come out with a cloak on. So now when you come out, they could see cars coming out, but they don't know which car is which car.
Or who's driving the car.
They don't know. Yeah, so that's good for real world use, privacy, protecting our rights as the people, because it kind of gives you, it's like, okay, we'll play your game. We'll come into this KYC infrastructure that you guys demand of us. But then we can go through this tunnel and come out into privacy like we've always had with paper cash. And because of how MWeb's built through the code's kind of protected by law. There's no middleman. There's no third party. There's no software involved either. And I think that would really come down to a fact of like, when you get into like the whole like very thing, like with the patents and all that like Reggie's going after, like anything that has software in the middle or there's some type of middleman, yeah, he would have a claim against them if he has the patents on how to do it. But if the code itself is doing it within the infrastructure of that layer one blockchain, then there's no patent that can really touch a layer one blockchain, because it's the code in itself is protected by law, and there's nothing else there's no intermediary, there's no third party, you know what I mean? So I think that's a really important distinction. And also too, when there is that third party involved, whether it be DeFi, centralized finance, whatever, they can regulate it a lot more and say, we don't want that, we want this, we want that, you have to do this, you have to do that. Even through these DeFi dexes, because there's still a company that has to maintain it and do
all of the rules of their, that's right. Where they weren't able to, like, there were some things where different companies were asked to seize people's wallets or whatever, and they were like, well, I can't seize their wallet, or I can, but what they could do in their capability to stay compliant, I guess it's like the MWeb thing, like, well, they can say, okay, you can't use MWeb, but we accept Litecoin, so they can't tell someone else they can't send it to you using MWeb,
right?
Because that's outside of their control.
But then you could send from MWeb to their wallet address, and so they don't have to participate in it. But then you can you can say, hey, I'm going to send from this privacy layer because I don't want, there's a bunch of different reasons. You could say, hey, I don't mind divulging my identity. Like you may send a payment and for, I don't even want to say the word, for those things that people pay that they owe usually at the end of the year.
Yeah.
For those types of things, you may want it reported under your name because you're like, hey, I have to
prove that you
kind of thing. But I don't want the people I'm sending to knowing how much money I have on me. So like I talked about this at the Litecoin Summit. People always assume when you want privacy, you're doing something bad. And I bring up the example, do you want all people at all times, all your friends, all your peers, the general public, your enemies, your coworkers, your everybody to know your bank account balance at all times? No, everyone says no. The idea of that's preposterous. So I say only with Bitcoin and Litecoin, they're so transparent, they're so good. That's what you're divulging. So by wanting privacy in it, you just want to say, hey, I don't want everyone. One of the factors is I don't want everyone knowing the balance of what I'm holding at all times. And that's a huge factor for people. And there's nobody can argue. If anybody argues that, they're the enemy. They're the enemy. Like I say, they're an operative. You get these Bitcoin maxis that,
because that could endanger your family, your loved ones, whether you had a lot or a little. It's nobody's business, you know. It's the same thing. Okay, we're talking about dollars, but it's also privacy is also, that's information that could be shared, but that's also necessary in the health world. It's nobody's business what your health is. That should be able, you should be able to send that in a private transaction or a private
a lot of data gets leaked too at if you every doctor's office and stuff, they want your social security number and all this. Do you think the people that work at doctor's office are data security handling experts? No way. So tons of information gets leaked from doctor's offices and stuff. All these people, and the truth is, these companies shouldn't be collecting this information. Now, doctor's offices do it for collection purposes, so they can they can send you to collections and come after you that way. A lot of stuff in the financial world, it's just for like the KYC purposes. But then it makes other companies, they shouldn't be getting this info anyways, and they're not data security handling experts. They're forced to collect this information, and it's, you know, again, you should be to be able to do it in a private manner is key. We know where the world's going. Their world's so like as great as silver is and gold is. I'm even carrying some on me. I'll prove it right now. I always carry 3. I got 2 on me. I don't know where the third one's somewhere. I got a bar of silver right here. I actually know where the other one is. And I got a boom right here. I got a eagle. And I usually have a Litecoin silver around. I left it on my left it upstairs. But so I love silver, right? But this stuff is not going to be used in commerce anymore. Reason being, the world's so digital. The people working at the registers, that whole system, they barely can handle cash anymore. So it's like how everything's paid online, pay through your phone, pick it up in advance, do it that way. So it's just that a new system's needed. We need to make that system work for us. So that's where people go wrong. They say, let's resist this so much, they don't look at anything new. I love silver. I carry it around. I use it as part of my example. I think it's going to be really valuable, but I'm also recognize, hey, it's not going to be used as a means of payment in these situations for how the world operates today. Everything's done online through your phone, tap and pay, quick QR codes. So we have to mold this system around stuff that works for us. And like I say, let's make it like rules for a typewriter. Let's make a lot of this stuff obsolete. So that way, when they're like, you got to do this KYC and all this stuff, it's like, no problem. But we're opting out of your system. So then when we opt out completely, we're in a KYC free world. And they're like, well, they'll be like, well, you have to do it when you're back in our system. It's like, okay, but we've opted out. We don't want to use your system anymore. So
Right.
the key is we got to get a lot of people to want to opt out. And it's how do we keep convincing these people to want to opt out when people are being so pacified every day by, we're in a war against like TikTok and different social media platforms. And, we're on Twitter. So we're doing it, and we're on these different platforms and stuff, but it's, I feel like the people that watch this show recognize a lot more what's going on. So the world's being pacified and put to sleep.
Yes.
How do we wake these folks up is the $1 million question.
I think that some of these things are coming. I mean, people are at least somewhat starting to wake up. Mom and I were talking about it earlier today. And my husband and I have had several conversations where, people they kind of come up to you and they're like, hey, all that stuff you guys have been talking about all these years, and I've had a couple of my homeschool mom friends, when I first started homeschooling last year was our first year. So that we're in our second year. And at first, I was that crazy lady that, is on YouTube talking about freedom and silver and crypto. And they were like, not so sure. But now they're like, oh my gosh, when you were saying the stock market was going to crash and all this, like now do you think it's too late to pull our stuff out? And I was like, I am not a financial advisor. I do not know. Like you got to protect your family, but I would say have your assets in your possession.
More people woke up than ever. But I feel like a lot of people are being pacified again. So it's kind of like people woke up to things that were going on. And now that it seems like, hey, things are more back to normal, they're not thinking about what's going to come next. They're not thinking about the next false flag. They're just like, oh, hey, things are kind of back to normal. Let me enjoy it. I get it with people. You had your life turned upside down, so you woke up to stuff, and now you want to kind of go back to normal. I get it, but it's that's the key is how do you then say to people, hey,
there is no normal.
Have your fun, but start opting out of the system as well, because it's no one's saying not to have fun. Have a good time while you're opting out.
Right. Well, and it's a great opportunity. Like Public, we're starting to do our Woo Woo Wednesday, but in the evening, live in the evening. So if you guys missed it, so we'll have the show a Wellness Wednesday at 4:00 Central, but then Public's going to join me a little bit later, like 7 Central. So that'd be 8 Eastern. For Woo Woo Wednesday, and he had a friend of his on who's building these solar, which I have not been a fan of solar, but he's talking about different things in these new panels and talking about using the energy directly, not storing it in a battery. And he's building new things for the future because he knows, he's like, okay, this system is failing. We're having these diesel shortages. We're having these problems, and so there are these solutions. And so it may not be the solution that I focus on, but he's building something. And I think it's really brilliant. He's thinking about things and putting people together and taking action and building a new world. And he's having a great time with it,
Yeah.
And I think we all have that. This is the opportunity to kind of reinvent yourself or take action in, it is really a revolutionary time, not just in America, but in the world, if we choose to take action in it. If we sit there and say, oh, this is happening to me, then you can be the victim all day long. But it's also an opportunity to say, things are changing. I'm going to choose something else. I'm going to stop using that damn typewriter. I don't need a typewriter anymore. We're going to go build something else.
We're going to start opting out and do something new. So it's that's our battle. We just got to keep up with it and keep at it and keep waking people up. But we're going to a lot more people will. I feel like the next time crypto pumps, a lot more people will. We're going to see a much bigger wave come in. So we had. Each time is bigger and more people come in and more people stay, I feel like. So I feel like the next go around, we're going to get even more people. So we'll see we'll probably hit like a breaking point as far as like adoption goes, where the next go around, there's so many more ways to pay with crypto, buy crypto, do all that. I feel like we'll see a lot more public marketing effort done on these companies' end.
That
And
MoneyGram bridge is a huge
MoneyGram bridge is
example of that.
huge. So you have things like that. You have all these Bitcoin ATMs. You have PayPals of the world, CashApps of the world, Venmos of the world, the Coinbases of the world. All these different ways to buy and sell cryptos. Companies that are going to accept it for payment, selling you gift cards. So I feel like we'll see a lot more for the marketing of it the next go around, because as much as they want to control everything, money is a driver for companies. So if companies say, hey, this is good marketing, crypto gets good engagement, that's going to drive a lot of it too. So the problem is, it's like, I feel like they are good at slowing everything down behind the scenes to get more of their ducks in a row. They're like, well, we can't let this thing get too far ahead. That's why, let's not make any rulings on this and that. Let's stall everything in courts and yada, yada, yada. And let's slow things down.
Yeah, there's a video of Gary Gensler teaching at MIT stating those facts, that there are systems in place to make sure that the market makers are already set, and to make sure if there's any up and coming market makers to slow their innovation, which actually goes against the Hobbs Act. I'm not an attorney, but
yeah,
looking into some things.
I can't wait till the it's a clearly ruled, then even this they're slowing down, that Bitcoin and Litecoin, they're not securities clearly. So it's the CFTC that has jurisdiction over them. Now, a lot of people say like, oh, the CFTC, they're not much better. They're way better than the SEC. And if something's ruled a commodity and not a security, there's a lot less rules and stuff in place with it. There's a lot less that they can enforce over it. So that's definitely a good classification to have. Now, people say, no, well, look at gold and silver, how manipulated they are. It's because they're a physical thing that you're not taking the possession of. Remember, yeah, you can come in and try to manipulate price on an exchange for a little bit. You're bidding the price up and down on multiple exchanges across the globe. Right. There's arbitrage opportunity. This is totally different than gold and silver's two places the price is derived from. Crypto, like Litecoin's traded on hundreds of exchanges across the world, so it's an index of pricing. If they're manipulating the price too much on one exchange, there's an arbitrage opportunity. There's people set up that look for this all day long, and the price is going to move, so on and so forth. So they can manipulate any market, but it's a lot harder in the grand scheme of things to do on a long-term scale. And that's why we've seen crypto outperform gold and silver, and it's ran up a lot more. It's had a lot more price action because of this, how you're able to take possession of it, use this stuff.
The access to it. Yeah.
Yes.
Go try to get some silver in your possession. Of course, you can call my buddy or email info@milesfranklin.com and ask Andy for some silver. Tell him Litecoin Lisa sent you. But there's shortages, serious shortages.
And the problem is, even go to a local coin store or gold and silver dealer, premium on silver, forget Eagles, the premium on silver bars or regular rounds is 25% right now, probably 30%. So right?
Eagles are almost double right now.
Yeah. So that's
your mind around that.
That just shows the manipulation in that market, but it just shows you like how my problem is, like, until that system's done, it's just so hard to use silver or gold for any type of payment. Like, I wouldn't want to pay, somebody said, oh, pay me $1,000, and they're like, pay me in silver. It's like, okay, well, here's 30% less because of the premium. If I was a person receiving it, I'd be like, unless I knew a lot about it, I'd look up and be like, no, this is the price of silver. I want this much right now.
Right.
I want anything less.
That would be really confusing to people.
Really confusing.
In a retail market. Yeah.
Crypto is if you're sending someone $1,000, you look in your wallet and like, okay, I got $1,000. You might have a few pennies less, and it's like, oh, well, it's pulling from a different exchange, the price, but you get it. You're within a couple of cents when they send the
So will that change when we stop counting it in dollars? When the dollar, because right now, basically the Fed, it's my understanding, is playing monopoly by itself. They're the banker and they're the only one sitting at the board. They're buying their own treasuries and reprinting it. And like they're the only one playing. The rest of the world has left the table. And so the dollar is dying. We're seeing Meta took a huge loss and dumped on Wall Street. There's other companies that are Twitter completely pulled out of Wall Street, Elon. And so there's huge talking about volume or liquidity is coming out of legacy systems. When we reprice, like, will it all shut down and go to zero? Will there be a transition where people stop saying, oh, that's how many US dollars? Will they start talking about Satoshis or lights? Or
I don't think
what does that look like?
I don't think we're ever going to see stuff go to zero. As far as I think we're going to see the assets run away inflation and go super high, and then they won't be priced in dollars. So I don't think it's going to be the opposite. I think the only reason we saw that with oil, again, you can't take physical delivery. You can't take physical delivery. And I think that was used more as a tool of manipulation because they put it on the TV, and it was during the whole time of the sickness going on. And it was to manipulate your mind. Look how bad the world is and like all this stuff. And like, I remember watching the TV that day. I was like, oh my God. And I was just like, I had like chills down my spine. And I even know what's going on. And I was like, what are other people thinking? I was like, whoa. And I remember the stock market's the main tool of manipulation. You turn on that TV, it's triggering dopamine in your body, and it's messing with your receptors, and they're scaring you. They're giving you this fight response, and they're giving you all types of different things to think about. And
it's talking about casting a spell or magic.
Yeah. So it's definitely so I don't think we'll see, I think cryptos will see again run away in the other direction. And before we go into a hyperinflation, they'll pull out like a digital type of dollar, CBDC. Yeah. And that way they'll trick people into not realizing the hyperinflation, I feel like, when they go to this CBDC, because they'll just keep messing with the decimal points. People aren't good at math. They'll still generally see the same thing. And it'll just be like, again, they're maybe buying less, but maybe the government's giving them this UBI and that's padding things for them. And slowly just stuff's being taken from them. And then they'll mess with a lot of stuff of ownership. So then it's like, okay, now you don't own anything. Now no one will own a car. No one will own a home. No one will own this. Maybe soon you won't own like normal things, like your computer. You won't own that. You won't own your phone. You won't own, like, let's just.
A lot of people don't own them now. They're like on a payment plan.
So you just won't own, which nothing wrong with a payment plan if you're on low 0% interest. If you're on 0% interest, you're actually using their money against them if you're smart. Problem is a lot of people blow that and they pay the high interest. That's another thing we could get into. But so I just feel like, yeah, they'll pacify a lot of people, trick a lot of people for a while, and then just go into full on like government, like where they kind of take care of everybody, and just slowly things get worse and worse and worse, but don't worry, they're there to take care of you, kind of thing. And
you're completely describing Biden's speech about Social Security, which actually got fact checked on Twitter, where he was saying like, oh, well, we're doing this and we've raised the Social Security for these people. And then they fact checked him and said, well, no, actually inflation was more than what your cost of living increase was. So it really wasn't a raise in Social
Right.
Security. And he
Right.
literally, or the White House got fact checked, not Biden himself, but that you're explaining exactly what they're doing is this soft, mind game for people
Yeah.
that go, oh no, I got a raise. And they're like,
Yeah.
yeah, but now it costs you twice as much to get to work.
Yeah.
Literally.
I feel like they'll keep, and the free money, most people like that. I mean, most people are like, if they give them free money, they're pacified for a while. So they have that. They can easily roll out a CBDC and take all of people's rights away easily just by giving people a couple $1,000 and tell them download this app, and people won't even look at what they sign off for. Few people will, but the masses won't. So they'll get people with that. And then, it's unfortunate that things will go this way, but and also be on the lookout for false flags along the way. That'll help them in their conquest of doing all this, and it'll be in the name of this false flag event that'll occur.
That's how the Patriot Act came out, right?
Sure, the Patriot Act.
For the good of the people.
You guys know what I think they're going to do. I talked about it on the show. I don't want to talk about it too much so we get banned, but just be on the lookout for stuff like that. And as they're slowly stealing from us, and there's no way out of this. It's not like there's no path to making this better. The system they've created, there's no way to fix it. It just gets worse and worse and worse over time. There's no getting it any better. So it's like the system's sick, and they trick you. It's like they give you this medicine for a little while. They never cure the underlying disease. And then when it rears its ugly head again, it's bigger, it's worse, it's spread, it's worse, it's bigger, it's worse. So it's just taking over everything. So it's, just keep telling people about these lifeboats, and hopefully enough people get into the lifeboats. We don't want to be the only people in the lifeboats, and then everyone, it's like, we don't want to be the only ones that know about this and everyone else is struggling. So the more people we tell, the more, when this all passes, the better things will be for more people, at least on the other side.
That is one of the coolest things about crypto is that the way that it's set up, that the more people that get in, the more people that participate, the more energy that's put into it, the more we all have and benefit from it together. And in no other situation, even in, I talk about, all my work in the nonprofit world, we were still all fighting for the same dollar. There was still competition in that nonprofit world because we were all still fighting for that same donation, when it came to that kind of stuff. So that's where cryptocurrency, you can have this peaceful heart where you really are wanting what's best for the community, and we all win together by taking that dark energy from the legacy system and putting it into something positive where we all benefit from it. So
that's the Litecoin community in a nutshell. I mean, Litecoin's really open, and that's why, I laugh at the maxis. I'm just like, knock yourselves out. Like we're at the company, we engage with the companies that integrate with Litecoin. We use Litecoin. We talk about it. People do videos about stuff, review stuff. We're there to help people. That's what we need for adoption, not, we don't want to tell you you're an idiot and then do these weird things. It's just I was joking around. I was gonna go out in public and say I'm looking for Bitcoin maximalists, but I can't find any. They don't exist in the real world because no one thinks like this. This is only in a bubble in Twitter.
It is a really odd mindset, because then to me, you're saying that you're not acknowledging that there's other problems in the world, because there are things that Bitcoin can't fix. And there are things that need smart contracts, that need these other things that Bitcoin cannot do. And to dismiss that and say that it's like saying that that doesn't exist. And I'm just like, that is not a rational thought
No,
at
it's
all.
not. And like, not like in Litecoin, Litecoin is nearly identical to Bitcoin. It's has the same exact halving infrastructure built in.
Mhm.
It just mines a different algorithm. It's 4 times as fast. It's it's more scalable, but it's the same thing. They're very compatible with one another. So it's like, if you like Bitcoin, you should you should love Litecoin. It shouldn't be like, oh, these people are the enemy, this and that. It's like, wait a second. This is the one coin that's like bringing real value to Bitcoin. Like, and that's why I say, if these people say, oh, MWeb and this privacy stuff, that's not important, we don't want that, I would really question their motives and just be like, well,
Then tell them, say, show me your bank account.
Yeah, show me. Yeah, and who's paying you to do this? Are you being paid by a news?
Wallet
And there's
address.
a lot of evidence too that a lot of these news outlets, who's paying them has a big interest in suppressing Litecoin. They want a Bitcoin only narrative. They want that getting out there that, hey, Bitcoin's the coin for this type of thing, and Lightning Network, and we're sold on that. Now we just learned at the Litecoin Summit that Litecoin has 2 distinct advantages in terms of scalability when it comes to Lightning Network. So the fact that Litecoin's going to be more usable and scalable with Lightning, that blows their argument to pieces. And not to mention, it's cheaper to send in and out. So it's like, it has all these advantages, and it did the first Lightning transaction. So, and if Litecoin didn't activate SegWit first, there would be no Lightning Network. So it's like, these people's argument is really, really stinks. So it's ignore the people. That's my main
Bitcoin
thing.
is better because of Litecoin being in existence. And that's that whole mindset is the community is better when there's more people contributing, more ideas coming in. If you want to be closed off and be small-minded, then you can do that, but you're going to be in a bubble by yourself. So
yes, you will.
Oh, crazy. Yes. Litecoin is Bitcoin with muscles, just like Johnny. Johnny Litecoin and his muscles. All right. Well, I appreciate you so much. And
great show, Lisa. Great topics as always. Great.
It's a bright future for Litecoin. It's really exciting.
Yeah. Be bullish on Litecoin, guys. Again, Clint Westwood did a great video about it last week. Great video where he talked about halving, how the price moves into the halving. So there's a lot of evidence of this. Again, we're not financial advisors. We don't have a crystal ball, but again, history doesn't always repeat, but it definitely rhymes. So I would definitely look into Litecoin as that website. There's a website, look into Litecoin, but I would definitely take a look into it if I was you guys. So
check it out. Put some likes in your pocket. Take care. Bye.
Bye.